Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this night's edition of Evening Lenten Prayers at Fourth Church. Just want to announce as we begin this that there were folks working really hard this morning to make sure people had food. And the food pantry had, we're thinking, 145 families come by or receive deliveries. And then in addition, the new meal program that Katie, Annie, Aaron, and Kathy have put together had 66? Presented 66 meals, all to go. Everything has to be done that way. But 66 meals for families, 66 meals for children 18 and under. So we will pray for that and that continuing work, but I just want to get the word out that that's what happened. Friends, let us be in prayer. My soul waits for the Lord, more than those who watch for the morning, more than those who watch for the morning. From parched places I have cried to you.
O Lord, hear my voice.
With my whole heart I want to praise you.
O Lord, hear my voice.
If you, Lord, should mark iniquities,
Who could stand? Who could stand?
I will wait for the Lord. My soul waits, and in God's presence do I hope.
And now please stand in body or spirit and join me in our expression of faith. Lord, you have always given bread for the coming day, and though I am poor today, I believe.
Lord, you have always given strength
for the coming day,
and though I am weak, today I believe. Lord, you have always given peace for the coming day,
and though of anxious heart, today I believe.
Lord, you have always kept me safe in trials,
and now, tried as I am, today I believe.
Lord, you have always marked the road for the coming day, and though it may be hidden, today I believe. Lord, you have always lightened this darkness of mine,
and though the night is here, today I believe. Now please join us in singing our hymn tonight, which is Sanctuary.
Lord, prepare to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving.
So our reading tonight comes from the Psalms. It's Psalm 126. Hear these words. When the Lord restored the fortunes of Zion, we were like those who dreamed. Our mouths were filled with laughter, our tongues with songs of joy. Then it was said among the nations, the Lord has done great things for them. The Lord has done great things for us, and we are filled with joy. Restore our fortunes, Lord, like streams in the Negev. Those who sow with tears will reap with songs of joy. Those who go out weeping, carrying seed to sow, will return with songs of joy, carrying sheaves with them. So I know that we're in Lent, but this passage is often read during Advent. I think it's in the Common Lectionary for an Advent reading. And for me, Advent is this really wonderful time of waiting and wondering. And with that waiting and wondering is the hope for baby Jesus and Christmas Day. And it's a time for me to look forward, but it's also a time to look backward. So this passage, I think, shows us that remembering good things are an important way to cope with troubles in the present, such as what we're experiencing today. So what I did was thought about what reminds me of what is good in my life, and knowing that it will be again. So one of the things for me that makes this time of the coronavirus, I think, feel more hopeful is trying to look at it like I look at Advent, which again for me is about waiting and wondering. And how can I wait and wonder with the same enthusiasm or the same excitement that I do when I'm waiting for Christmas? So I decided that for today, I would focus on remembering some of the things that are good for me that I associate with Advent and the waiting for Christmas. And I had so many that I had to make a list, and then I had to pare down the list because we'd be here all night because I really love Advent. So my first thing that I love about Advent is on Thanksgiving Day, I actually give my children, when they were little and now my grandchildren, Advent calendars. And those Advent calendars are often made of Legos, and they've often had Star Wars or Harry Potter, and everyone gets very excited for them and they can't wait for Advent to start. And my children probably don't like me very much because their children are bugging them until Advent begins, because it's usually a week between Thanksgiving and Advent. So that's one of the things. And the next is dresses, really, really pretty Christmas dresses. And it's one of my favorite things to do is to pick out really pretty Christmas dresses for my two granddaughters, Piper and Scotia. And they wear them for the Christmas picture that we do with Santa, and then they wear them on Christmas Eve or on Christmas Day. And the next is planning our food for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. We love to eat good food, and we love to think about how we're going to prepare that. So I involve my children and my mom, and we sort of split up the things that we want to have, and we talk about what kind of drinks we're going to have with the food, and it's just a really important piece of Advent for me. And last, I would say there's, well, not last, but next is lights, Christmas lights. There's nothing I like more than to pull into my driveway at the end of a long work day and to have my house lit up and sparkling and beautiful with white lights, thanks to my husband, who's actually sitting right over there. But it really makes me happy, and it's a sad day at the Dubath house when we take those lights down. And I think that one of my neighbors or someone in my neighborhood has that same feeling about Christmas lights, because he put on Facebook yesterday that he has actually redecorated his house for Christmas, and it's pretty spectacular. And he invited people to drive by with their children in the car to give them some light and some hope, which I just think is really special and really wonderful. So for me, the last thing that I'm going to tell you about, and someday in person I can tell you about all the other things that I love about Advent, are creches. And I collect them, and I brought one with me today. It's from Ecuador, and Duncan and my son Cameron went to Ecuador about 15 years ago with our church family. Before we were at Fourth Presbyterian, we were at Wellesley Village Church, and they have a wonderful relationship with an orphanage in Ecuador, and we went there. This is baby Jesus. And we went there, and we lived and worked in the orphanage with the kids, and it was really one of the, I would say, highlights of our lives. It really changed the way that we look at service and doing service. So, while we're in the midst of fear and sadness, I challenge you to remember the good things. And in remembering the good of past days, I think there's hope and there's the promise that there will be more good days. So, as the psalmist teaches us, we will once again be singing songs of joy. And may it be so.
Let's enter a time of prayer. There's a liturgy that gets us going, and then we'll have a time to name some of the prayers we've heard about. In the shadow of your wings, I will sing your praises, O Lord. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the refuge of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? I believe I shall see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Oh, wait for the Lord. Have courage and wait. Wait for the Lord. So some prayer requests we've heard. In delivering food today, I got to see Antonia, and from a safe distance. And she's grateful for all the prayers, and she's doing much, much better. I can also send you virtual hugs from Jimmy Lou and Pam and Shorty, who received food, heard of our love, and repeated prayers because they don't see this kind of stuff, the YouTube stuff. But please keep them in prayer.
So for Joys, we also have a prayer of gratitude for all who are trying to move supports online. We have Elijah and Eleanor's drawings for the food pantry. I don't know if you all saw them. I posted them on the Fourth Presbyterian Friends and Family site, but they're very special. So we asked Elijah and Eleanor to make pictures that we put on the flyer that we put in all the bags of food today. So everyone from the food pantry brought home one of those flyers with those pictures. And I think it was just a really special way of the kids reaching out and letting these families know how much we love them. We also have a joy of Deb's poetry ministry that she's been putting on Facebook, on our Facebook group every morning, which has been really lovely. We also have some concerns. We have all who are feeling the effects of being physically cut from their support systems. We have more prayers for Martha. We have guidance for our leaders. We have prayers for Laura's friend Claire, who is in labor as we speak. And we have prayers for those who are homeless and in need of shelter and food. And as Burns mentioned, we also have Thanksgiving for all the food pantry support and especially the blessing of all the clergy that was there this morning.
I would ask for prayers for my friends Felice and Mark. They're both doctors in New York City, working really, really hard under unbelievable conditions right now. And it looks like Mark is he's definitely sick, and it may be the virus. So for them. And I would ask us to pray for Geraldine. I just learned maybe an hour and a half ago that she has been in the hospital. She's been in ICU, but she's home doing great right now. And that's all I know from the text. I'm looking ahead to getting more details, but give Geraldine a call later on, maybe tomorrow if you have a chance, and certainly pray for her continued recovery.
And we have prayers for all who are sick.
I want to add Michelle Grover Kanash's sister, who has the virus as well. So let's pray. God, as the sun sets, we give you thanks for this day, for the blessings therein, some of which we saw, many of which we might have missed, because, God, you bless again and again, over and over. And we say that, God, knowing well that people around us are afraid, people near us are suffering, And maybe some of us on this chat right now, in this time right here, are hurting. So we turn to you, God, and ask for healing. We turn to you, God, and ask for wisdom and mercy for ourselves, but way beyond us. Bless our leaders, God, with wisdom and mercy. Bless each one of the families who came by here needing food. Bless those who are staying at home and doing their best to keep safe, particularly those who are vulnerable and most at risk. Be with our doctors, God, all of our doctors around the world, and nurses and technicians, and people coming out of retirement to work in hospitals. We need you, God. We're leaning into you. And we take this time to breathe, to listen, to say in our hearts or out loud any more prayers. As you have made this day, O God, you also make the night. Give light for our comfort. Come upon us with quietness and still our souls, that we may listen for the whisper of your Spirit and be attentive to your nearness in our dreams. Empower us to rise again in new life, to proclaim your praise and show Christ to the world, for he reigns forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
Together, let's stand and let's say the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us
our debts,
as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see.
And our benediction tonight is in the form of a blessing. See that ye be at peace among yourselves, my children, and love one another. Follow the example of good men and women of old, and God will comfort you and help you, both in this world and in the world which is to come. And let the church say,
Alleluia.
Amen. The peace of Christ be with you.
And also with you. And with all of you. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow there will also be soup and study conversation at 6:40 on step number 4. And there will be a virtual choir sing at 8.
Yes, and confirmation at 2:30 in the afternoon for those of you who have confirmation kids. We can't wait to see you.
All right. So long, everybody. Bye.
Good night. Peace.